Horror games in general are all about suspense, scares, and mystery. But on the other side, certain ones are about challenges and tests that make you question if you're a real gamer who knows what they're doing, or if you're not ready for such experiences in the first place. Whether it's about fighting, hiding, running, or all at once, the main goal of these games is to give you the hardest time possible and force you to earn your way out through skill and intelligence instead of luck and coincidence. That's why in today's video, I'm going to showcase 10 of the hardest and most challenging horror games ever created. Games that can make you frustrated and end up leaving the session without achieving anything because you lost all kinds of hope. However, that case can only happen with amateur players who are not used to getting pressured and being pushed to their limits. Because the experts and experienced ones will definitely find these titles a perfect opportunity to test their abilities and prove that they can do what others can't. So with that being said, let's start.
Oh, now with me, we're gonna settle this!
For so many years, video games based on the Alien series have been released, but Alien Isolation stands out as the first one to truly capture the experience. The game prioritizes creating a sense of claustrophobia and stealth gameplay, making players feel constantly in danger from the giant xenomorph. You need to hide wherever you can and try to avoid any encounter as much as possible, because using your weapons won't always save you. The intelligence of the xenomorph here is also incredibly advanced, making you feel like you are up against a monster that is smarter than you can ever be. It takes the intimidation factor of Resident Evil 3's antagonist and amplifies it to a more frightening level that can make a lot of people feel frustrated while trying to finish it. So if you think you're a hardcore gamer who's a master in stealth mechanics, then going through this game without getting caught is clearly a challenge meant for you.
Chris!
The Resident Evil HD amplifies the difficulty and refinement of the original game. Many of the younger gamers don't know that unlike the newer Resident Evil games, the first game doesn't offer any convenient features for the players. The remake enhances the zombies' intelligence, makes managing ammunition much harder, and doesn't cater to the player's ease. Furthermore, the inclusion of Crimson Head zombies elevates the game's pressure levels and makes it one of the most challenging entries in the series. So if you're a modern fan of the franchise who enjoyed beating installments like Resident Evil 7 and Village, then you probably need to take some steps back and try the remake of the original one because it's literally nowhere near its successors.
Payback time!
This game heavily draws inspiration from Resident Evil, incorporating many familiar elements. As a first-person shooter, players are constantly on edge, anticipating attacks from all angles. Ebola 2 is notoriously challenging, not allowing you to save whenever you please and featuring zombies that can withstand an impressive amount of bullets. Similar to Resident Evil, players must aim for the head to eliminate zombies and dispose of their bodies accordingly. Collectible items such as keys, plants, lighters, and gasoline are also integral to gameplay. However, the game's difficulty may leave you questioning whether or not it's enjoyable, because you'll literally spend more time trying to figure out how to survive than actually getting entertained as you do when you play a normal game. So for all the gamers out there who enjoy being stressed while facing a zombie outbreak, this is your chance to prove yourself and test your abilities, because Ebola 2 is not messing around.
Where the monsters wait.
They're all over us! Get it! Over here! I found it! Grab the item! Close the door! Close the door!
Why are we here?
This is not a normal horror game in any way. It's a special survival horror first-person shooter that requires cooperative play. The gameplay is relatively simple, similar to Left 4 Dead, but it boasts a unique visual style. The game's objective involves 4 players working together to complete various tasks assigned by the warden in an underground setting. It provides a thrilling and frightening experience, but it also demands players work together strategically and think tactically to overcome the challenges presented. This means that you and your partners need to be equally skilled and smart to succeed in your mission, and any individual mistake can get all of you in trouble. So this is literally the perfect game for a group of friends who trust each other's gaming capabilities and love to have fun together while completing a hard, memorable mission.
Prisoners! You awake? I got the HSUs. Good job. I'm gonna wake up Maddox first. He's a clever one. Mechanically minded. Might be able to make us tools or even weapons. Maddox. How did you even do that?
Outlast is a game that puts players in a vulnerable position with no means of defense. The objective is to explore, solve puzzles, and find items, all of this while running away from danger. Unlike other horror games that give you a sense of power by providing you with something to defend yourself, Outlast does exactly the opposite, because it's actually one of the best games that doesn't allow players to fight back in any form. It's particularly challenging when it comes to walking through dark areas, as players can only see through the camera and must manage its battery simultaneously. The game requires players to be strategic in their movements, and hiding is often the best course of action. However, staying in one place for too long can be a risky move, and you might end up getting caught one way or another. That's why it's advisable to be cautious and use your intelligence to change your hiding places all the time to guarantee your safety. I don't need to exaggerate how tough this game is, because most of you probably know how painful it can be. But for those who still haven't tried it, I can assure you that one of the most intense experiences in gaming is waiting for you.
Get them out! Please! You got your hands! Listen, please! Yeah!
Amnesia is a popular horror game that presents a unique challenge to players. Just like in Outlast, you cannot fight the monster here either. The game is difficult to complete as it creates a continuously stressful atmosphere along with challenging gameplay mechanics. The protagonist cannot stay in the dark for too long as it can drive them insane. However, not hiding in the dark leaves you vulnerable to the appearance of weird creatures that hunt you. The experience requires players to maintain a delicate balance between caution and vulnerability, which adds to the game's excitement and suspense. I mean, it's not a coincidence that this franchise is considered one of the best horror games of all time, and it's also the source of inspiration that influenced dozens of other titles that were released in the last 10 years. So, if you're an Outlast fan who's searching for a similar challenge that can send chills down your spine and make you realize that things can get even harder, then Amnesia will be the perfect option for you, especially since the next installment is coming out next month and is expected to be epic.
There is a great horror beneath the manor. A crawling chaos that must be destroyed. The task ahead is terrible. And weakness cannot be tolerated. My obsession caused this great foulness.
Darkest Dungeon is an RPG like no other because it is known for its unique focus on stress and character death. In this game, the player becomes the manager and advisor to a group of adventurers who confront a variety of Lovecraftian horrors on each run. As the game progresses, heroes are likely to die, and the player must replace them with new ones. The characters are often saved from death only through brilliant strategies or luck. So trust me when I tell you that this game is challenging, particularly for an RPG of its kind, which makes it a distinctive experience. Players can use complex strategy mechanics and eventually learn how to tilt the odds in their favor, making the difficulty level seem fair. That's why after going through all the obstacles and outsmarting all the brain teasers, you'll literally feel that completing the game is a genuine achievement.
Unavoidable end.
This game was mentioned multiple times on this channel, specifically by Lucas, but it's definitely not fair to make a list of the most difficult horror games without talking about this one. Escape the Awoki is a horror challenge that requires players to escape a mansion while being pursued by a demonic entity called Awoki. To beat the game, you will need to solve puzzles, avoid traps, and hide from the creature to survive, all at the same time without prioritizing certain tasks over others, because if you do, you might lose focus and end up getting caught in a matter of seconds. However, the catch here is that the Awoki is literally capable of hearing any sound that comes out of your microphone, which will trigger him immediately and force you to react fast and high before he shows up in front of you in a way that makes your heart skip a beat. It doesn't matter if you think you're good at stealth. This game will pretty much confuse you and make you panic regardless, especially when you hear the creepy sound of the Awoki while he's coming. But if you're confident that you're a person with a cold heart and a solid mind who reacts wisely in dangerous situations, then this game can help you confirm it. From Software is known for producing some of the most challenging and vexing video games of our time. The Dark Souls series is notorious for causing headaches, but Bloodborne takes the cake for being exceptionally unyielding. The game is a grueling test of skill, and it draws inspiration from cosmic horror, which is evident in its foes and environments that are designed to terrify you. Besides, the limited support items and abundance of enemies keep the player on edge throughout the playthrough. One wrong move can cost you your life, as most bosses can take you out with a single strike. So in a game like this, any mistake can lead to a game over, leaving zero room for error. It's also important to note that the game's parry mechanic makes it even more challenging for some. Winning or losing in Bloodborne depends on the player's ability to execute precise timing when parrying, which obviously isn't easy for everyone. I can't judge your own level of skill in gaming, but I personally suffered through this experience, and I don't think any human on Earth can finish it without breaking their controller in the process.
Oh, it seems to me it's enough to make a man sick.
Is my will.
This one is definitely familiar to most of you. The Evil Within is a game that is both spine-chilling and demanding. Although it may not have revolutionized the survival horror field, it has certainly left a powerful impact on so many levels. Despite the fact that the game throws swarms of enemies at players, it's not technically more difficult than Resident Evil. However, the real test lies in its ultimate challenge and highest difficulty level, also known as Akumu mode. This mode demands that players complete the game without taking a single hit, or else they will be sent back to the beginning. Saying it sounds insane enough, let alone trying it. This mode literally requires you to complete the whole game without making any mistakes while fighting all the crazy enemies that come at you from all directions. Your shots need to be perfect, your aiming must be precise, and your reflexes have to be flawless in order to survive and beat this mode. I don't know if anyone can even do it, but if you think you're a professional survival horror gamer, then here's your chance to prove it. I honestly couldn't put Granny in any place other than number 1 because this game is literally the definition of pain when it comes to finishing it. It's a horror game where players find themselves trapped inside a house belonging to a mysterious old woman, and the goal is to escape the place within 5 days while avoiding Granny and various other traps and obstacles. Players must explore the house, find clues and tools to help them escape, and try to avoid Granny, who is constantly hunting them down. If Granny catches you, you will be knocked out and lose one of your 5 days, but getting caught is basically your easiest problem here because you'll literally lose your mind during the search process while trying to find every key and tool you need. Each tool does a specific thing that helps you avoid Granny or build your escape plan. It doesn't matter how much I explain it, you can only understand what I mean when you dive into the game yourself and live through the pressure of getting chased by that evil old woman and using the maximum capability of your brain to collect every piece you see in order to build something that you barely know. Finishing this game in normal mode is hell, but I will not believe anyone who says that they finished it in hard mode on the first try. I don't even believe that the developers of the game themselves can do it. Even though this list has reached its end, I'm pretty sure there are still a considerable number of challenging horror games that haven't been mentioned. However, I think we can all agree that the ones featured today definitely deserve their reputation as the most difficult horror titles you can get your hands on. If you know any game that's renowned for its hard objectives and unbearable conditions, then please make sure to share it with us in the comments so everyone can discover it. With that being said, see you in the next video.